Nigeria is standing at a crossroads right now, and the conversation dominating the airwaves today involves your money, your future, and a massive tax reform that's supposed to start in just 10 days. Taiwo Oyedele, the man leading Nigeria's Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, came out strong this morning on Channels Television to address a storm that's been brewing around the country's new tax laws. With just days left until January 1st, when these reforms are supposed to kick in, there's serious drama unfolding about whether they should even start at all. Let me tell you what's really going on, because this affects every Nigerian, whether you are earning a salary, running a small business, or just trying to survive in this economy. The new tax laws were signed by President Bola Tinubu earlier this year, and they are meant to completely change how taxation works in Nigeria. The government calls it the biggest overhaul of our tax system in decades. These four new laws, the Nigeria Tax Act, the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act, are designed to simplify everything and make life easier for ordinary citizens and businesses. But here's where the controversy comes in. A member of the House of Representatives named Abdul Samad Dasuki raised an alarm last week, claiming that the tax laws published in the official gazette are different from what the National Assembly actually passed. Imagine that. You debate a law, vote on it, the president signs it, and then somehow what gets published is not exactly what you approved. That's a serious allegation, and it has triggered calls from big names like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, the Labour Party's presidential candidate from the last election, demanding that the whole thing be suspended until investigations are done. This morning, Oyedele came out swinging and is not having any of it. He told Nigerians that the claims circulating in the media are misleading and that people need to calm down and let proper investigations happen. He made a crucial point that many people are missing. Before you can say there's a difference between what was passed and what was gazetted, you need to have the official version that the National Assembly sent to the president. And guess what? Nobody seems to have that version to compare. Even Oyedele himself says he only has the version that was presented to President Tinubu to sign. So how can people be so sure there are differences if they don't have the original to compare? Here's the thing that should really concern you. Oyedele warned this morning that if these tax reforms don't start on January 1st as planned, ordinary Nigerians are the ones who will suffer most. Think about that for a moment. He said 98% of workers in Nigeria will continue to be overtaxed if the implementation is delayed. That's almost every single working person in this country. Under the current system, too many people are paying too much income tax from their salaries. The new law is supposed to fix that by raising the threshold so that most people either pay little or no pay as you earn tax at all. Small businesses are also waiting desperately for these reforms. Any business with an annual turnover of up to 100 million naira will not have to pay withholding tax anymore under the new law. That's huge relief for the millions of small business owners trying to make it in this economy. But if the laws don't start in January, they'll continue paying multiple taxes, dealing with complicated rules and struggling under minimum taxes, even when they are not making profits. And you know what that means? Higher prices for goods and services, because businesses will pass those costs on to you, the consumer. The reforms are also supposed to address something called hidden VAT that's been quietly making your life more expensive. Right now, when you buy bread, the baker doesn't charge you VAT directly, but they are paying VAT on flour, sugar, butter, equipment, fuel, delivery vehicles, and basically everything they use to make that bread. Since they can't claim that VAT back under the current system, they just add it to the price of bread. That's hidden VAT, and it's making food more expensive for everyone. From January, bread and other essential items are supposed to move to zero-rated status, meaning producers can reclaim all the VAT they paid on inputs. This should help bring prices down. But if implementation is delayed, that relief doesn't come and prices stay high. Now, if you've been following along and finding this helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because we are breaking down these important issues in ways that make sense for everyday Nigerians. Ring that notification bell too so you don't miss future updates. Let's talk about the specific controversy that's causing all this noise. There's a provision called Section 41, subsection 8 that some people claim requires businesses to pay a 20% deposit. Oyedele clarified today that this provision was in a draft version of the Gazette but is not in the final published version. He said some people circulated information before the committee investigating this matter had even met, and now misinformation is spreading everywhere. He's urging Nigerians to let the House of Representatives Committee do their investigation properly instead of jumping to conclusions based on incomplete information. What's fascinating about this whole situation is how it shows the tension between getting reforms done quickly and making sure everything is done correctly. Oyedele and his team have spent months, maybe years, working on these reforms. They've consulted with experts, businesses, labor unions, and various stakeholders. The laws went through the National Assembly, got debated, got passed, and were signed by the president. Now, just days before implementation, there's this controversy about whether the published version matches what was passed. It's the kind of drama that makes people lose faith in government processes. But here's what Oyedele is saying. Even if there are some genuine issues with certain provisions, his view is that those specific provisions should be identified and addressed while the rest of the law moves forward as scheduled. He believes that throwing out the entire reform or delaying everything would hurt millions of Nigerians who are counting on the relief these laws promise. Workers need lower income taxes, small businesses need exemptions from multiple taxes, consumers need lower prices on essential items. None of that happens if everything gets suspended. The government says these reforms will unlock about 3.4 trillion naira of input VAT credits for businesses starting next year. That's money that businesses have been paying on their inputs that they'll now be able to claim back. For manufacturers, exporters, and service providers, this is massive because it improves their cash flow and lowers their production costs. Schools from kindergarten to universities will be able to charge 0% VAT and recover VAT on computers, boards, and other inputs, which should help bring down education costs. Healthcare providers will get similar benefits. These are real, tangible changes that affect real people. Opposition figures calling for suspension have their reasons, and it's important that concerns about the legislative process are taken seriously. Democracy requires that laws are passed properly and that what gets published is actually what was voted on. But there's also a real cost to delay. Every day these reforms don't take effect is another day that the 98% of workers Oyedele mentioned continue paying too much tax. It's another day that small businesses struggle under multiple taxation. It's another day that hidden VAT keeps food and essential items expensive. As we head into the final days of December, all eyes are on what happens next. Will the reform start on January 1st as planned? Will there be a last-minute suspension? Will the House of Representatives Committee investigating the alleged discrepancies find anything substantial? Whatever happens, this story is far from over, and it's going to have major implications for every Nigerian. Stay informed, ask questions, and remember that these policies directly affect your wallet and your future. We'll be here to keep breaking down what it all means for you.